What's going on, guys? Welcome to Player versus Podcast, episode 1. My name is Dalton, also known as Esports Center on TikTok. I'm here with my co-host, Daniel, also known as Rapid Reacts. Today, we're going to talk about the biggest games releasing in November. We're going to talk about Game Pass coming to VR, Roblox's surprising month, and Discord coming to PlayStation. Ready?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, let's get into it. I'm going to give you the biggest games coming in November, and I want you to tell me if they're a smash or they're a pass.
Okay.
Cool. Sonic Frontiers.
That is a pass, dude. I can't. Like, Sonic, I feel like every Sonic game is mediocre, except for Sonic Adventure 1 and 2. But you know me, I'm a big Dreamcast guy. That could be nostalgia talking, because those games have not aged well, dude. So, for me, I know some people have liked some of the more recent games, but I don't know. I'm just not into that series that much. So, for me, personally, it's a pass. What about you?
It's a pass as well. It's just not my game genre. I don't see it doing very well. It'll hit some audiences. It'll hit that nostalgia feel for those Sonic fans. But other than that, I don't see it being a big game. Next up on the list, God of War Ragnarok.
So as we know, previews are out for it, and they're kind of, praising it and saying it's more of the same, but not in a bad way. Like, they're like, yeah, it's more of the same, but it's in a very good way. I think this is just going to be another Sony banger. This is going to be another game that gets a 10 out of 10. Now, what's going to be interesting for me to see is, like, is it going to win Game of the Year? Because we got Elden Ring. Like, I don't know, man. This is a tough year. Like, if it was any other year, I think God of War Ragnarok would take it. But Elden Ring was so damn good. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah. It's a smash for me.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a great game. Looking forward to it. I think a lot of people are really going to like it. Do I think it's going to have that longevity factor? No.
Nah.
But I think it's a great game. Just from like the reviews and everything that I'm seeing already, I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy it, especially if you like the first one. So it's a smash.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Sony exclusives, and they are trying to like rectify that. So as we know, like they're getting into games of service and hiring studios like, to make, service like games, and of course the Bungie acquisition. So Sony is going to tap into that market, just not yet. But these first party exclusives that you play through for a couple weeks to a month, those aren't going anywhere either, because they have that market there for that. And I know I'm going to be there day one for Ragnarok. So
yeah, I mean, I hope Ragnarok becomes more of a, I don't want to see it be live service, but I want to see more content added over time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess that's like the
that's
definition of a live service game. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's a reasonable ask. The first game didn't have any DLC.
No, absolutely.
They released the game, and that was it. That was the full game. And which was...
Because you could, if we're being honest, you could breeze through the game.
Yeah. But
you know what I mean?
As much as like people like to have that content after the game launches, it was kind of refreshing to see the original God of War just come out, and that's your full game. Like, we don't see that a lot anymore,
No, I don't think we see that ever anymore. Like, a lot of things, like, they're produced, and then you've got a lot of updates to follow to fix all the bugs. Like, dude, back in the day, like, think about when we had, like, the PS2. That game was final when it hit your console.
Yeah.
And if it was buggy,
oh, well.
it's done. Yeah, like, sorry.
Good luck.
You know what I mean?
Have fun. That's it.
So for you, it's a smash?
Yeah, definitely a smash. Let me do the next game. I want to throw this out because I want to see how you feel about this. Goat Simulator 3.
Not a game that I have a lot of experience with, but I know Goat Simulator. I guess it's just one of those meme games.
Yeah.
I'm personally going to say it's a pass. Just because of the other games releasing in November. But overall, if you can make 3 games off of Goat Simulator, you're doing pretty well.
It's all about the memes, dude. And, like, they really leaned into it even more. Do you remember that mock Dead Island 2 trailer before we actually got the real one? I forgot what it was at Summer Games Fest or something like that.
Yeah.
And everybody thought it was Dead Island 2, and it ended up being that. Like, that's the appeal of that game. It's a meme.
Absolutely.
And maybe there's a little bit of fun had to be there, but, like, I never played them, so I can't say. So for me, it's a pass, too.
Fair.
Yeah.
What about Call of Duty Warzone 2.0?
So for me, you know me, I'm not a big, like, Battle Royale guy. I'm terrible at them. And the only one I probably have liked has been Apex Legends, just because I was a huge Titanfall fan. I'm a huge fan of movement and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's a pass, only because I've never been really into Call of Duty that much. What about you?
It's a smash. I mean, this is what everybody is waiting for Call of Duty. Warzone was that upper echelon of that next level Call of Duty. You know what I mean? That's what everybody's been waiting on. I think that this game will be something that people will play for years to come. Activision is really high on this game. There's a lot of content coming with it. Modern Warfare 2. I want to get into this later, but I think it could be one of the best Call of Duties of all time. And I'm not just talking about because of like the actual gameplay, but the numbers are proving that already. We're a week in.
Well,
but
to go in, sorry to interrupt, to go in with what you're
okay.
saying, they actually need this game to have longevity because there is no Call of Duty next year. So that
hasn't been confirmed, but that's what the rumors say.
That's what the rumors are saying, is that they're going to take a year break now that they're most likely going to be with Xbox, and we could dive into that conversation at a later time. But if Xbox acquires Activision, they're going to want them to take a break and get that quality back to where it needs to be, and especially after Vanguard, you know?
Yeah. I liked the way that Warzone felt initially, like when it released back in 2020. I think we all did. It was in a time of like something new. But I think Warzone 2 is that polished, refined, understanding that this is for the long haul. Because initially Warzone wasn't meant to be a 3-4 platform game, and it just kind of got all meshed together. So I'm really excited to see what Warzone 2 does. Again, it's a smash.
Cool. Yeah, for me it's a pass, but it had nothing to do with the game. It's just not my cup of tea. You know, like
that's fair.
For battle royales, they have to have that movement element to it.
That's fair.
So
last one. Do you want to do it?
Yeah. So last one. How do you feel about Evil West?
It's a pass.
Whoa.
I mean, I know. It's just, I don't foresee it being a game that people spend more than a week on. People will forget about the game pretty quickly, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of good games coming out within the end of this year, early next year, actually all of 2023. Really excited for that. But I mean, we're going to see a lot of great games kind of slip through the cracks. And it sucks, but for me, Evil West is a pass.
Yeah, so here's my thing. It's a smash for me because you know me, I love my third person, over the shoulder games. Huge Gears fan, Last of Us fan, God of War fan. This game is taking a lot of elements from Gears of War, from even God of War, and if it's too similar, like, it's just not going to be a good game. Like, we've seen that there's clones that do it well. Like, we could say Genshin Impact did the Breath of the Wild clone thing pretty good. Tunic, which came out recently, really great Zelda-inspired game that felt like its own. And is this game going to really feel like its own thing, or is it just going to feel like copy and paste but with vampires or, whatever the monster might be there? So still a smash just because I'm into those type of games, but probably barely a smash. Am I even going to have time for it? I don't know. Yeah.
But it's something you will be picking up.
Yeah. Definitely pick it up.
That's fair.
Will I play it right away? Probably not.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a lot of players. It's going to stay on the shelf for a little while until they're like, oh, Evil West? I forgot about that game. Like, don't get me wrong. It looks cool, but it's just, there's too much competition. Yeah. I don't see the longevity of the game. Again, it's a pass.
November's a big month, and I feel like every publisher should just kind of like stay away from the two biggest months, which are like February and November. We got those huge months at the beginning of the year, huge months at the end. Nobody ever releases games in summer. I don't know why. This would have been a great fucking summer game. And I know it's more tied to like Halloween and stuff like that, but like if you got a new game coming out, like even Titanfall should have done this back in the day. Speaking of Titanfall, if they had released their game in the summer, far away from Call of Duty and Battlefield, both times, those games would have killed. Because summer is always so dry.
No, anytime you're going up against one of the biggest publishers and the biggest games from those publishers, you're going to have a hard time selling copies. Yeah. So 100%. That's also why we've seen a lot of games delay into early 2023. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, but yeah. Next thing I want to get into is we're going to be drafting free-to-play games.
Ooh.
We'll go back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy. So,
how many games are we picking?
We'll do 5 free-to-play games, and I'll let you start.
All right. Let me start with the big daddy of them all, Fortnite.
Easy number one pick.
Expected
off the board. I get it. My first pick is Apex Legends, a game that I think has had a lot of success recently. Didn't start off too hot, but because it was free to play, people came back and really liked the game.
I hate you. You could have picked Warzone. You knew that I love Apex because it's the only battle royale I played, and you took that with your number one pick. I hate you. All right, Warzone.
Fair. Again, it was a great game for 2020. You know what I mean? We were in a desperate time, so I think that's a good pick. it's funny because free-to-play games weren't really that popular up until Fortnite, so
Yeah.
another reason why that's a solid first overall pick.
Because
My
they always used to be scummy. Remember, like they're
yeah.
very like, oh dude, it was just over the top. Like there's just take your money. But
It
Fortnite kind of found that balance where it's like it wasn't too scummy, and you definitely didn't need to buy that stuff, and it was only cosmetic. It was never power. Like once they tapped into that, and then every other publisher after was like, we should do that. Just cosmetic only, you know. Like, and still you have your bad eggs that come out every once in a while that are like super scummy, like mobile games and all that. But you know, Fortnite created that new
100%.
standard of like, hey, you don't need to be a piece of shit when releasing a free to play game, and like, here's how much money it can make you if you actually do it that way.
Yeah.
You know?
No. Great pick. My second pick is Valorant. A game that I think will be, if it's not already, the best esport of all time.
Cool.
I think that it's got a lot of potential. Riot knows how to do it. They've got experience with League of Legends. It's a lot easier to follow than League. For me, Valorant's up there for one of the best free-to-play games of all time.
All right. So if you go Valorant, what am I going to do? Now, I would admit the next few games I'm going to pick are not games I would personally play, but they're the biggest that exist. So you inspired me for this pick. I'll say League of Legends.
That is a good pick. Currently, I would say the biggest esport in the world.
Yep. And also
So
the
many
most toxic game. Toxic community.
Very true. Very true. League of Legends was on my board, but I would have taken that a little bit later. With my next pick, I'm going to go with the game that is now free to play, that wasn't free to play, CSGO. My personal favorite game of all time, very similar to Valorant, but a game that just Valve did it right. And they did it right from the beginning. You know what I mean? CSGO.
That game probably up there with World of Warcraft for the longest life. Like, it came out
100%.
years ago. And I'm surprised to even see it go free to play. And I'd be interested to see like what the player numbers are since they made that change. Because that game was always kind of popular. It didn't really, for me at least, didn't feel like it needed to go free to play. But, you know, maybe Valorant did take a lot of that pool. And, you know, they had to make that pivot.
Yes, sir. It's your pick.
All right. There is one free to play game. It's technically free to play. A lot of people don't think it is, but it's one of those late changes also. And I love the original, love the sequel for a time. Don't play it anymore. Kind of too late to jump back in, but I'll say Destiny 2.
Solid.
Love. I feel like when it comes to Bungie, nobody does gunplay better than them. From Halo to Destiny, like if you play Destiny and you use an exotic weapon like the Last Word or anything like that, you know what I'm talking about. That gunplay is stellar. It's addictive. It hooks you. And the only reason I'm not playing the game now is because I took a long break. Feels like it's too late to come back. There's way too much content to burn through. So I'm like, if you bring out Destiny 3, I'm there day one. Until then, nah, I'm pretty much done with the game.
It's fair. It's fair. I don't think we can talk about free-to-play games without mentioning RuneScape. Talk about longevity of any game.
Yeah.
Game came out in 2001.
Another one of those decades-long games, man.
No, 100%. And there are still players today. So RuneScape is my fourth overall pick.
Cool. So is this my last one or my fourth?
Correct. Your last pick.
All right, last pick. You know what? I'm going to go with a game that surprisingly has a ton of players back on it, and you would never guess what it is. I'm going to say PUBG.
That is a great answer. I think that's a very solid fifth overall pick. That was going to be my fifth overall pick. But, dude, PUBG revolutionized gaming with the Battle Royale genre. So
I would say that H1Z1 walked so PUBG could run, and then Fortnite just took it to the finish line. Like,
good call.
But I think PUBG, maybe you're looking at it now. I feel like the last time I seen they had a player base of like 462,000 or something like that.
It's quite a lot.
And it's like,
that's not including mobile. Mobile is literally insane.
Yeah, I was very shocked to see that. I was like, I thought it was a dead game. I haven't heard about it in a while, but there's still a large player base there, and that's crazy. So comment down below too if you play PUBG. I want to see you guys out there in the comments.
Dang, it took two of mine that were on my board, so I gotta look for another one. You know what? I'm gonna go with a game that got me into gaming and I think was done beautifully. Team Fortress 2.
Oh,
The Orange Box is one of my favorite games. I mean, obviously you have multiple games within the Orange Box, but you got Half-Life Portal and TF2 all in there.
Yeah.
Like ranking those alone would be hard. But for free to play, Team Fortress 2, hell of a game, rounding out my top 5.
The Orange Box is undefeated. It's like the best gaming bundle of all time. Like, nothing beat it. And unfortunately, I got the worst end of it because if you remember, the PlayStation 3 version of that game was not well done. And at the time, I only had a PlayStation 3. But once I got it on Xbox 360, loved it to death. Team Fortress 2 is great. Love Valve. Wish they would make more games. It seems like they're starting to. Seems like they're starting to now, and hopefully they learn how to count to 3 finally. Because I want to see Left 4 Dead 3. I want to see Half-Life 3. I want to see all the 3s. And please, Valve, come back. Come on,
dude. Valve has built such great games that 20 years later, all of them still play extremely well.
Yeah.
Love the game.
Yep.
We want more games, Valve. Please.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Gabe, come on, Gabe.
Dude, they're so focused on like their Steam Deck console and like they make so much money.
Oh, dude, the Steam Deck is great.
Store.
So I remember I showed you the Steam Deck on our trip to TwitchCon.
Yeah.
Which, that of course we didn't get to go to. That's another story for another day. But
yeah, we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, you seen the Steam Deck there, portable PC, freaking great. I wasn't a believer at first, ended up buying one, and now I'm in love with it, use it more than my Switch. So really good times.
Love it. Cool. Let us know down in the comments who you think has the best top 5.
All right, so now let's get into the hottest gaming news of the week, which I'm pretty sure we know about all these, but we'll touch on them real quick. Discord is coming to PlayStation March 8th of next year. And that's kind of really late because Xbox has had theirs for like months now. And in fact, they're getting to the point where you don't even have to use your phone anymore. And I don't know for sure, the PlayStation version is going to require you to use the phone. So they're coming in super late and they're going to be behind feature-wise. How do you feel about all this?
As a PlayStation fan, I'd be very upset because previously everyone thought that Discord and PlayStation signed this exclusive partnership to where PlayStation was going to get it way before Xbox. Yeah. Now they're going to have to wait 6 months after Xbox, and Xbox is getting updates and making it better on their console already. So as a PlayStation user, I would be very upset. Now, overall, I think it's really exciting that all consoles and everyone's going to be able to use Discord except for Switch, but they don't really count because they can only run games at 30 FPS. But overall, I think that it's really exciting for crossplay. It moves
don't
the needle
forget
forward.
480p also. The glorious 480p on the Nintendo Switch. And
if you have an OLED, it's 720, okay? Yeah, we're in 2022 and you're bragging about 720p and 30 FPS.
Nintendo release a Switch Pro. Please, for the love of God. Just care about graphics one time.
I bet you we get a GTA 6 trailer before we get a Switch Pro.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. So, yeah, dude, you're right. Like, I play everything, but I do kind of lean more towards PlayStation because I'm a single player gamer. This sucks. I got a lot of people I talk to on Discord. I talk to you on Discord. I got to wait all the way till March, and it's just like I'm still going to have to use my phone. And I was like super excited because, like you said, you touched on, they announced it first. And then all of a sudden, like, Xbox comes out of nowhere, like, whoop, hey, we're going to have it too. And then a couple months after that, they release it. All before PlayStation even releases theirs. So I'm like, what happened?
It seems like anything that PlayStation or Sony tries to implement, if it's not done on their own, it's going to take 10 times longer than any other system.
It sucks, man, because I have a lot of friends, my brother, like, there's a lot of people that I know that don't have a PS5 yet because they can't find one. And I don't know if you heard this part of the news. It's not going to be on PS4 either. So I'm going to be lonely in Discord on PS5, waiting for my friends to finally get PS5s as their own before we can jump on Discord together. Or they're still going to have to use their cell phones, which is just super inconvenient.
See, that's where I think I don't understand it. Yeah. How can Xbox bring it to the Xbox One, Series S, and X, but PlayStation is just like, nah, it's only on PS5?
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're leaving out all of your players that either can't afford or can't find your other console. And that's not on them for the most part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that is definitely frustrating. But I think overall, like, I was expecting more from the integration when it comes to PlayStation. I was expecting like all the voice channels and text channels, Discord servers, being able to navigate through them seamlessly on your console. But no, it just sounds like it's voice call integration, which Xbox has now, and now they're getting rid of like the phone like you were talking about.
Yep.
But I mean, where is this like special app? Are we gonna have to wait another year? Like, I feel bad for PlayStation players, especially those on PS4 that aren't gonna get it.
Yeah, it's just like, and I think they're getting like one feature, which is like you could see what your friends are doing or something. Like, why even bother? If you're not going to have the voice chat, don't even bring it to PS4. It's kind of lame, and it's just like, I believe, I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think didn't PlayStation or Sony actually buy some stake in Discord? Like,
no, they invested in Discord.
They invested in them, so you would think that they would probably have more features, kind of like a behind the scenes, like, hey, we invested this much, can you give us more features than Xbox? You know, and it's just like, it has less features and it's going to only be on the PS5. Like, this stuff isn't adding up. It's really weird.
Xbox's like partnership with Discord was very quiet, and we didn't find out up until recently that Phil Spencer confirmed that they do have a partnership with Discord. Now, Microsoft was in talks to actually buy Discord, and that fell through. I think it was something like $10 million or something like that. I don't know.
Only 10 million? I would have thought like billions for Discord.
Might be. Oh yeah, it might be 10 billion. Oh, they offered them $12 billion.
Yeah,
billion with a B. That's my bad. But yeah, it was like 10 to 12 billion. But yeah, that fell through. Sony invested in the company when they needed some more money, and they're last to the game.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem right.
Something's weird. And something else I want to touch on is like, this used to be on older consoles, right? I mean, maybe through like a third-party app or something like that, but every console generation we get, we lose features. And I don't know what it is, but like every time like PS5 comes out, we lose themes, we lose folders, we lose all this stuff that was on PS4. Xbox is guilty of the same. Nintendo's guilty of the same. Like, what is this thing of like releasing a new console? What is this thing of releasing a new console and having it just be completely bare bones? Like every single time. It's like you guys mastered how to put this stuff on the console, and then you're like, just out the window, even though everybody loved those features. Like, Discord should have never went away.
It's almost like we start at square one. I know that there was Discord, but it was like under a different name and like a third-party app on like older consoles.
Yeah.
And I get it, but I'm happy to see that Discord has a natural integration with these consoles now.
Yep.
I think that when you see these new consoles release, you're seeing them kind of forego their worry about what the dashboard looks like, how it flows for, you know, a user, and they're like, we'll just stick with what was working, and we're going to focus on the hardware that goes into it, which has proven to be a decent strategy. But personally, I would like to see something that feels fresh.
Yeah.
I think Xbox has done it the worst between the two consoles of like, this just feels like an Xbox One, but slightly faster. Yeah. So I would love to see new dashboards, but yeah, you're right. They just restarted square one, and it is frustrating.
Xbox should have never got rid of the blades. I think the blades on the 360 are still hands down like one of the best.
Bring it back.
Ever.
Bring it back.
Bring it back.
Yes.
Do it in a fresh new way. Like, everybody I think wants the blades back. I'm primarily on PlayStation. I want blades back. Like,
well, dude, Blades had so many features that aren't on Xbox anymore or aren't highlighted through Microsoft. Like,
yeah.
Imagine that in 2022.
That's
the
cool.
idea.
That's wild.
The next topic I want to bring up is what I think is the biggest letdown for gaming in 2022, Gotham Knights.
Wow, man. That game... Okay, so, as you know, I reviewed it, and I gave it a 3, and IGN gave it a 5, GameSpot gave it a 4. It's currently a 64 on Metacritic for the Xbox 360... Or, it's currently a 64 on Metacritic for the Xbox Series X version, and it's just like... Yeah, you don't usually see AAA games get so low like that. Like, 3s, 4s, and 5s, but... There's just something wrong with this game, and I've seen other reviews touch on it, and my review was kind of quick, 30 seconds, so I couldn't really go deep on it, but it feels like this game was originally built as a live service, and then they seen how Avengers went, and were like, oh, no, let's backtrack on that and just make it a co-op game, because like there's a lot of parts in that game that just scream like it used to be a live service, and you can feel it, and it's just like, just a lot of disappointing things there. I don't know. Have you played Gotham Knights?
I've played a little bit. My biggest thing is like what everybody sees on paper. You're capped at 30 FPS, and you cut your previous gen consoles. So you cut a large majority of your player base, and you're not even taking advantage of the consoles that you're on.
Yep.
So please tell me who really wants to buy this game. I mean, for me, I think that we put unrealistic expectations on a lot of superhero games. The only superhero game that I think is worthy of like it's a good game is the Spider-Man series. Like superhero games, just the random ones that come up, like they're just not fun in my opinion. And this is another example of like, it just feels dry. You know, there's really no connection, because that's the great part about a superhero movie is there's a connection to the character, there's an overarching theme, and there's a plot line that builds very well. But you just don't have that in these kind of games.
Well, here's the thing: is like, besides Spider-Man and Miles Morales, which were incredible games, you also had the Arkham games, which this is where this stems from. The Arkham games, you probably feel some other way about them, but like,
yes,
a lot of people love the Arkham games. I love Asylum and City, not so much Night. There's some people who only love Asylum, some people who only love City. It's, you know, it's a little divisive, but they're great games. So they have that foundation there, and they almost took nothing from that. And to your point where you said, like, you know, what made this next gen only? You're absolutely right. I'm playing this game. I'm looking at the graphics. I'm looking at the open world. And nothing about it screams to me like this had to be next gen only. Like nothing. This could have easily came out for PS4 and Xbox One, especially because it's locked at 30 frames a second. Like, they're not the first to do open world co-op games. Far Cry's been doing this for years. So like, what? Why? And Far Cry 5 was 60 FPS on next gen consoles. So I don't get it. I was very disappointed about the game. I did play it a little bit more recently, and just trying to, like, you know, play with different characters and like just kind of ignore the issues and stuff like that. It's just hard for me to have a good time with that game. It's just a big disappointment, and God of War Ragnarok can't come soon enough.
100%. One more thing to add on. The Batman series, like you were talking about before, yeah, they were a solid run of games, don't get me wrong, but that was 2015.
Yeah.
Now, if this game would have come out in 2017, 2 years after the Batman series, I think it would have blown up. Everybody would have been on the hype train, loving the game. 30 FPS is just fine. It's a standard back then. But it's almost like you didn't really make any improvements, and you just built an open world game that, again, feels empty.
Yeah.
So for me, one of the biggest disappointments, a lot of hype around it. Not a game that I will continue to play or encourage anyone else to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Final topic. And I know this is not one you haven't seen a lot about, but Paranormal Tales. So this is this new body cam style horror game. This is the second body cam style game now to get announced, right after the other one that still doesn't have a name. But how do you, like, I know you don't know a lot about this game, but how do you feel about this body cam style?
I'm not opposed to it. It feels fresh, which is nice. I think that a lot of games have become stale, and I'm open to the idea of the body cam style. I'm not sure how well it's going to do longevity-wise, because, again, once you see one, you've kind of seen them all.
Yeah.
But I would love to get your take on how you feel about this game.
I like it. And now there's an argument out there about, does the body cam style feel too real? Like, do we really want to go that realistic with video games to, like... Because, honestly, this game, I encourage you to watch the trailer for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. This has the potential to be the scariest game of all time. I actually led my TikTok video about it with that. Because you look at it, it's very much inspired by, like, the Blair Witch and found footage films like that. So you're, like, just that alone, that's some of the scariest movies I've ever seen. And then you're putting that into a video game that looks completely real because it's using Unreal Engine 5. Please bring your brown pants when you play this game, because this will be scary AF. And a lot of people are like, no, it's not going to be Outlast 1. That's the king. That's the scariest game of all time. I think it will. I played Outlast 1, and this trailer alone scared the shit out of me.
No, absolutely. Outlast was a very scary game, especially for the time period that it was in. Like,
yeah,
that felt very realistic. Again, you are getting to a point where body cam is very realistic. I think more so what I'm excited about these games is to see how they're able to take Unreal Engine 5, the new engine, and put that into almost what looks to be like a real life simulation.
Yeah.
Now, the horror games I'm not into as much. I know that's more your genre. We got some friends that like it as well. But overall, I'm excited to see that realistic feeling that we're going to see with Unreal Engine 5 across multiple games, not just these body cam styles.
I love to see, like, how it would play in a multiplayer game. Like, whether that be an arena shooter or battle royale or whatnot, like, how would a game like that play in multiplayer? That'd be pretty interesting to see.
There are a few things that I want to get your opinion on. I'm not sure if you've seen them, but Game Pass is coming to VR.
What?
Oculus and Xbox have announced a partnership. And you're going to be able to play your Game Pass library. They're also bringing Teams and cloud gaming and all of Office into VR. So on your Oculus Quest, on the, like, what is it, Oculus Quest Pro that they have now, you'll be able to use all these features. But I want to know what your take is on being able to play Xbox games on something that isn't Xbox.
So, just to let everybody know out there, I didn't hear anything about this. This is wild because Xbox, wasn't Phil Spencer like the first one to come out and say we're not touching VR? Like that's not our thing. Like
they said they're not touching VR hardware.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So Xbox's big thing is like Xbox is pretty much done with hardware. You know what I mean? Like they're not there to innovate in the hardware space. They'll let Sony do their thing. Yeah. Sony's coming out with the PSVR 2. Sony is staying within their realm of like this is PlayStation. Once you have a PlayStation, you have all these other things to use. Yeah. Xbox is like we're Xbox and our focus is Game Pass and we want to be everywhere. Yeah, so for me, I think that this integration makes a lot of sense. And also it allows you to bring VR games to Game Pass. Now, the integration isn't necessarily like the entire VR setup like you might expect. It's more so of like a theater setting and you're playing the game within VR on a TV.
That's pretty cool. I mean,
yeah.
So it seems to me like Phil Spencer's just like, yeah, I'll let them do all the heavy lifting with their hardware. Then maybe one day when it's there, when it's like Ready Player One, then we'll release a device of our own. But yeah, you're totally right. The strategy makes sense. They do want to put Game Pass on everything. They got it on mobile. They got it up. Like if they could put it on PlayStation, I'm pretty sure they probably would. If they could put it on Nintendo, I'm sure those conversations were there. Nintendo was probably like, nah, go kick rocks. But I get it. It makes sense. It's just crazy to me because I swear, like, even recently when Phil Spencer I did catch, he was asked about the metaverse. And what was the quote? He said like, it's a terrible made game or something like that.
Yeah, the metaverse is just like a terrible version of a video game.
Yeah.
Or like, essentially he's saying like video games has already been the metaverse.
Yeah.
So what is everybody trying to do? What is all this fluff that's going out there being like the metaverse is new, this is going on? It's like, no. And like if we look at Fortnite is a great example of the actual metaverse. Yeah. Look at all the collabs that they have done. That is a metaverse crossover.
Yep.
It's cool to see. And yes, like games have a lot of experience with it. We don't need all these NFTs and Web3 crap in there to be able to say that it's meta.
Yeah, for sure.
While we're on the topic of Xbox though, I want to get your opinion if you think Xbox can compete with Apple and Google. So I'm not sure if you heard, but Microsoft announced that they are making an Xbox mobile store to compete with the App Store and Google Play.
What?
Yeah, so the idea is that you'll be able to play mobile games. They're acquiring Activision, Blizzard, and King. And King obviously owns Candy Crush and a variety of other major games. So they're getting a lot of mobile users there. Plus, they'll be able to add their Game Pass games and all their other partnerships. I mean, think about it. You've got a lot of big games that are now porting their game into mobile. Yeah. So it makes sense to kind of have a hub for mobile. But I want to get your take if there's any ability for them to compete with Apple or Google.
It's going to depend on the games, right? Like it's going to depend on not only like what games they bring, but their third party support. So like if they could have as many games as a Google Play Store and Apple Store and all that kind of stuff, then I could see them competing. They're already in the mobile space with xCloud. People have been playing Xbox games on mobile for a while now, so I think they can. I think they have the money to. They have this endless amount of money that they could do anything they want with. So, I could see it. What about you?
They have money, but they're going up against two giants that have as much, if not more money than they do.
Yep.
So I think for Apple, it'll be a very hard sell. Mm-hmm. What is the purpose of going to any other place other than the App Store? For Google, I think Android users are a little bit more open to using third-party apps, places to download games, things like that. So I think it could work with Android users. Overall, I don't foresee this being like a big deal. We've already seen Microsoft try and get in the mobile space. It didn't work the first time. I don't see it working the second time, but it's a cool idea. I understand why they're doing it. The acquisition for Call of Duty or for Activision and Blizzard is for the mobile push, and that's what Phil Spencer was saying as well. So we'll see what happens there. I believe that it's gonna flop, or it may not even come to fruition. I think that they might even drop the project.
Well, the only reason I could see it doing well, and the App Store for consumers, they're always going to go to the App Store, right?
Yeah.
But for video game makers, for publishers, right? Like, what's the big, the whole controversy with Epic and Fortnite about Apple's policies, right? Like, that might deter a lot of publishers to start jumping ship over to Xbox's store and just being exclusive to them because, they're going to be fair with their partnerships like they are with their console.
Yeah. Take less than 30%.
Yeah.
Could work.
So it all depends. It depends on the percentages. It depends on the rules and all that kind of stuff. And we know that Apple sometimes could be very uptight with their policies. So, it all depends, like how many publishers would actually jump ship and like, you know what, let's just go to Xbox and not even deal with the headache. Epic will 100%. They're going to be there day one. So,
yeah. Last topic I want to get into is, did you hear about the month that Roblox just had?
No.
How many players do you think Roblox had in the month of September? Total users.
Give me an over-under. An over-under number.
Over, under 500 million.
No, you're wild. Under. There's no way.
Let me rephrase it. Over, under 1 billion.
Under. No.
Over, under 1.5 billion.
Over. Okay, over. You got me.
It's 1.72 billion players in a single month. And with that breaks down to 57 million players a day. They pulled in $7 million daily. And that's a total of 4 billion hours played.
That's crazy.
So 22% of the world's population. Now, I'm not sure if Roblox is counting people that are re-signing in, so it's daily, you know what I mean? So it's 57 million players daily coming back to the game. We add that all up, 1.7 billion players technically. But that'd be equivalent to 22% of the world's population.
That's wild.
I don't think 22% of the world's population is kids. And even if it was, not every child is playing Roblox. Roblox, I know we just talked about metaverse, but Roblox is the metaverse. That is the place for all these different games. There's money transactions, there's experiences, there's all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people sleep on how big the game really is.
It's crazy. Like, I know it's big because I have, nephews and nieces and stuff that play it, and they're just crazy about it. And I think we're out of touch because we're in the older generation, so we're like still kind of thinking Fortnite's the biggest game. So it's crazy to hear like, no, Roblox is the biggest game,
Yeah.
And probably followed by Minecraft, I'm assuming is still giant. So it's crazy. It's crazy to see those numbers. I don't think, have we ever seen a game have a player base that big? Is that the biggest we've ever seen?
I think it helps that Roblox is a publicly traded company now, which is insane to think about.
Yeah.
But we get those numbers quarterly and also monthly because investors need those.
Yeah.
So I think off the top of my head, I think that is the biggest month recorded publicly. It's 12 times the amount of players that Minecraft sees in a month. It's pretty crazy.
And I don't know a lot about Roblox, so I'm assuming it's free to play.
Yeah, it's free to play.
And it has all the microtransaction stuff you would come to expect for a free to play kids game.
Yeah, so essentially Roblox is a sandbox. So it's for all these, like, imagine you built your world. Well, I'm going to take Minecraft, for example, or Fortnite. They have their sandbox. You build the world, and there are so many different things you can do with the world. And then you can have players join the server.
Yeah.
And then there's transactions you can do. There are level ups. There are leaderboards. Fun, random.
All right, that's going to do it for the podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below your thoughts on some of the topics we went over, and can't wait to see you on the next one.